Download Tarang online radio app from Google Play Store.
Very good afternoon, everyone. I am honored to welcome you all to the inaugural ceremony of Trinity School of Law and Legal Studies. It is a moment of pride for me to welcome Honorable Chief Guest Shri Swatanter Kumar, former Justice Supreme Court of India and former Chairperson National Green Tribunal. Born in the year of Indian independence, Justice Swatanter Kumar has contributed immensely to the Indian judiciary. He has delivered landmark judgments that have proved highly constructive for nation's progress. TIPS is a part of Kamal Educational and Welfare Society, which is running various schools and institutes to empower young minds to shoulder the responsibilities of the nation. The institute has been declared A+ category institution by State Fee Regulatory Committee, Government of Delhi. All the institutes of the group take pride in its state-of-the-art infrastructure. TIPS enjoys the infrastructure like 4 well-equipped computer labs, 2 libraries, classrooms fitted with latest ICT facilities, audio studio, video studio, post-production lab. We are totally committed to run BLLB program with great zeal and enthusiasm. With this, I conclude. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Now, the time is appropriate for felicitating and welcoming our honored guests of the day. We welcome our honorable chief guest, Justice Swatanter Kumar. Justice Swatanter Kumar was born in 1947 and was enrolled as an advocate with the Delhi Bar Council on July 12, 1971. He practiced in various high courts, tribunals and the Supreme Courts, and served as an additional district and sessions judge in the Himachal Pradesh High Court in 1983, and thereafter resumed practice in New Delhi. He was appointed as a permanent judge in 1995 and transferred to Delhi in 2004. And then appointed as Chief Justice of Bombay High Court in March 2007. In 2009, he was appointed as the Judge of Supreme Court by the then President of India, Dr. Mrs. Prakhar. He was appointed as the Chairperson of National Green Tribunal on December 20, 2012. And on December 19, 2017, he retired from the post. We would like to request our managing committee members to kindly escort our honorable chief guest, former Justice Swatanter Kumar, to the stage for felicitation.
Good evening to all of you. Mr. Tandon, obviously they say behind every successful man, there is a woman. Therefore, Mrs. Tandon, my younger brother, Mr. Dhaya, distinguished invitees, members of the faculty, and most importantly, dear students. Firstly, I may thank the director for his kind words. It's nice to see that academicians can also be poetic. So it's a very good sign. First and the foremost, I must also say that you belong to a country which has a very diverse and rich heritage. Whether it was Ganesh Pujan, whether it was Rajasthani dance, whether it was a combined song of nationalism, or it was a dance of Prakhar. This, all students performed very well. I must compliment all of them. And what I wish to take out of this is that in a span of around about 20 minutes, you come to know how rich is our diversity and how rich is our heritage. It is not necessary for me to preach to you what should you do and what should you not do. As your chairman, Mr. Tandon, pointed out that you are getting one of the best institutional course which has all the fundamentals required for such a modern academic course to be. Your director said, the speakers said that some of you are going to become politicians, some of you are going to become judges, you may become lawyers, you may become bureaucrats. Well, friends, I would just say one thing: become what you want to, but don't forget that you must become a human being. If you cannot become a good human being, it's not worth what cap you carry on your head. Of a judge, of a minister, of a lawyer, of an engineer, bureaucrat, anybody for that matter. That's my first request to you. Second request is, which I normally call as 3H, formula of life, which means be humble, be humane, and be healthy. Now, just to give you an idea of what noble profession are you entering, I would just inform you that you could be a legislator making the law for the country, you could be a judge pronouncing judgments for the country, for the common man, downtrodden, environment, or anybody, any issue of the society, not an individualistic approach. You can be a wondrous administrator. But your contribution to society, and I often say that a lawyer is a link between the society and administration of justice of a country. He plays such a vital role. He communicates to the society whether the judicial system of a country is running properly or it has lost its grit, it has lost its rhythm. Just to give you a very small example, if a lawyer goes and outside tells his client or the bunch of people there that, look, this judge is corrupt, it will take them 1 minute to believe it. But if that judge is described by that very lawyer who might have lost a case or something, in that event, he would say, I have lost it, but this judge is upright. So it conveys a different message to the society at large. You know what Gandhiji did once? He was never a good lawyer. in terms of what we call a good lawyer. He didn't have a Mercedes to run, he didn't have an air-conditioned house to live. So he was a very ordinary lawyer. So once when he had, he was doing a matter, so he advised his client that why don't you compromise? Then he persuaded his client to compromise that matter on some disadvantage. So the people told him, look, Gandhi, you're going to be never a successful lawyer. Nobody is going to be happy with you. You're not going to make any money. And dear students, the answer of that father of the nation was yes. There may be cases when you will lose the opponent's favor. There would be cases where you will lose the client. There would be cases where you will lose the judge. And I am prepared to lose all these three, but I am happy that I did not lose my conscience. So what you need to do is think right and do right. When I talk of being healthy, healthy doesn't mean you should weigh 219 kgs. Okay? What I mean is that you should be mentally and physically healthy to perform your functions of a good citizen of a good society and a country like India, which is the world's leader. We are talking, now let me tell you another face of it. Today we talk of environment. USA is trying to teach us what environment is. The European countries, the developed countries, today they talk of what is a healthy environment to live. How should you live? How green gases are to be controlled? How ozone layer is to be maintained? But kindly, just think a little. I'm sure none of you is as old as I am here, but think a little. In our country, you worship trees for ancient times. You worship rivers. You worship crops. Do you know that in Kerala, what you call the agriculture festival, in Punjab you call Baisakhi, you call others, no crop is cut without worshipping the earth first. And I'll tell you a very small thing. If any of you have been to the Mahalakshmi temple in South, that Mahalakshmi temple, I went there a number of times. When I went there as a chairman of the National Green Tribunal, there the officer told me, he said, sir, I would like to show you something which may interest you. I said, that's great. So he took me and he showed me at the outer wall, there was of the temple, it's a huge area of a temple. So there was a small wall like this square, and there were two chakras made out on that. One was Bhugola chakra, other was Ritu chakra. This chakra had divided entire universe into 7 levels. 3 levels below the sea and 3 levels above the sea, and sea being the landmark. It talked how would you maintain each level, how would you maintain ozone layer, how would you maintain discharge of green gases and control the entire universe environment. Ladies and gentlemen, this was 700 years back when most of the countries in the world were not even born. That is our richness. Our rishis, munis were not conks. They were knowledgeable people who knew that what environment means and what human life means. And this is a profession which is going to give you a chance to read anything and everything. If you are a good lawyer, a good judge, you will know all kind of cases will come to you. Environment cases, criminal cases, civil cases, matrimonial cases, science development cases, scientific cases, education cases. What chance will this give you to serve the society at large and the system at large? To be human is a very small thing. I don't think I should even mention about myself, because I never mentioned it for 30 years of my judgeship. But now I am a free bird, so I do mention sometimes, How can you contribute to the society, to somebody's life? I was practicing in Delhi High Court. I had a chamber. I didn't know till now that Mr. Tarun was working with me, when I was working, and he would then know probably. He must be an excellent person, because I was a very difficult man to handle, because I knew nothing except work, and the people who couldn't work found very difficult. So the mere fact he stuck with me, that means he must be a very good worker. So what I say is that, I had a chamber, this was as big as this stage, that's all. And by God's grace, I used to have something like 30 to 40 cases every day in the High Court. So I was going at 8 o'clock back to my home. So there was a young boy sitting on the stairs outside my chamber, So I went out. I don't know why. I had no business to talk to him, because he was sitting outside the stairs which were going down the floor. So he tells me, I asked him, I said, young man, why are you sitting here? He says, I want to speak to you. I said, if you want to speak to me, then why didn't you come in? He says, I have no money to pay to you. So I said, that's fine. You could still talk to me. So then I told him, I said, why don't you come in? I took him inside my chamber. All my colleagues were there. So he told me that his father is a three-wheeler driver. He came from Chennai. He had done his MBBS with distinction. He had appeared for MD. And in those days, MD, medicine, pediatric, were the top of the line asked for specialties by the students who wanted to do MD. So he wanted MD pediatrics. So he couldn't get it. He was placed somewhere like, some funny kind of a MD, like I think pharmacy or something. He was very disappointed. So he told me, and then he said, to do all the good on myself, when I was in the train and getting down, somebody flipped my purse. So now I don't have money. I don't have money to eat food. And I have no choice. My career is at stake. So I told him. I said, what's the problem then? He says, still you don't understand my problem. I said, no, I think your problem is not that which I can't understand. But what would you do is first have your dinner. So I called for dinner canteen from him. So he had his dinner. Then I told him, I said, okay, give me a story of your case. So he gave me a story of his case. His case was excellent. As I told you, he had done his MBBS with distinction and MD entrance. He was very high-ranking boy. So at night, we prepared his case. His case was ready at 11 o'clock. Justice B.N. Kripal, who was the Chief Justice of India once, he was the presiding judge in Delhi High Court at that time. I mentioned the matter to him. And he was again a very generous person. So he said, let this case be heard today at 2 o'clock. He took up that case 2 o'clock. He gave me a notice for 2 days. and call the Director General of Health Services into court, because see, at that time MD seats were being given by Delhi, Director General of Health Services, and nobody else could in India give seats to the medical colleges, like you have in the law colleges today, centralized allocation of seats based on merit subject choice. Then that boy, in 3 days, DG came, Justice Kripal told him, he says, either give this boy seat by tomorrow in MD pediatrics or I'll send you to jail. That boy got the seat within 1 week. And, he went back. I forgot, everybody forgot. After 2 years, I got a letter from him. So he wrote that, Mr. Swatanter Kumar, I am a full-fledged pediatric doctor today and I have joined my duties. I thank you. What I am trying to say is not that I did one case free. I used to do my 25% of the practice free. But what I am telling you is, one thing done good in your life to somebody can take you from point A to the sky. There is my request to you, do well, do healthy things. Your conscience must be clear. It is a matter of, and in our profession, please maintain integrity, honesty and uprightness. You should have the courage to say, like today, when you're going to have choice of subjects, like you want to have criminology or you want to have income tax or you want to have some other law, the way you choose your subject, you must be clear that if you find that there is a bad case, you should have the courage to tell the client, man, don't burn your money. Yes, you do suffer because you lose the money, somebody else will do it, probably on the half the fees that you're asking, but that doesn't matter. Your conscience should be clear. Another thing which I want to say, there are 2 people in your life who are ever happy about what good you do, and they feel sad when anything bad happens to you. Therefore, always respect them. One is your parents, and second are your teachers. Your parents catch your finger and tell you to take the first step of your life. When you were a small tumbling boy or a girl, teachers tell you how to write the first A or K in your life. And both of them feel very proud in whatever you achieve, in whatever you do. A teacher will take a pride. Look, my student is a judge today. My student is a minister today. Not gaining anything. I mean it. Therefore, please, always respect your parents and teachers. Never hurt them. It's not worth it. Anything, even if you make up money by hurting your parents, you will pay for it 10 times more. So therefore, please kindly keep it in mind. Dr. Abdul Kalam, when he is the President of India, I was holding international conferences every year in Vigyan Bhavan, and by God's grace, they were very successful. We used to have something like 100 nations from the world participating in those conferences. Dr. Abdul Kalam was the chief guest, being the President of India. So we were sitting on the dais. So he asked me, after most of the speakers had spoken, he told me, he says, Judge, can you tell me one thing? I said, yes. He says, how many students are there in this conference? I said, there are 425 students attending this international conference. They were from all law colleges. Your college started late, so not my fault. So, he thereafter said, okay, do you mind if I break your schedule a little? I said, you are the President of India. What the hell can I do? You do what you want to do. And it's a privilege to have you there, whatever you want to. So he said, okay. After he concluded his speech, he asked all the 400 students who were sitting in the balcony of the Vigyan Bhavan to stand up. And he gave them 10 commandments, which included all kind of basic fundamental principles of social living and national feelings. Included good to parents, society, everybody, look after environment, this, that. Then at the end, when it finished the tea time, he asked me, he says, Judge, would you like to ask me why did I do this? I said, Your Excellency, how that there can I have a courage to tell you why did you do it? He says, no, I'd like to tell you. And believe me, this is what I wanted to tell you before I close. He said, we people have lived our lives. This is the class of people whom, if I am able to inject one good thought today, would serve the country for coming 50 years minimum. That is why I thought I will speak to you spontaneously rather than with a prepared speech. So I told you to be human, to be good, work hard, because the difference between work hard and hardly work is very less, just ly. So, and most of us fall in the later category. So you better make a choice right now. What you're going to learn today is going to be tested in the field for the rest of your life. Therefore, what you study today, please pay attention. And with all this, I would end by the reference to the biggest man of our profession, Mr. Nani Palkhiwala. He was a man of great principles. People would beg him to do cases for millions. The man would not charge more than the prescribed fee, whatever it might be. And once he was addressing, and that is what I want to communicate to all of you, the young graduate students of a college in a kind of concluding ceremony of the academic sessions. So he said, and believe me, I want to say this very meaningfully to all the young people today here. He said that there are two kinds of fools in this world. One, who give advice unasked for. And I admit that I fall in that class of fools first. But the second class of fools are the people who hear that advice and don't follow it. And he said, I may be the first class of fool, but I sincerely hope all of you don't become the fools of the second category. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
स्वामी पथिक जी महाराज के भजन और प्रवचन 24 घंटे सुनते रहिए तरंग डिवोशनल रेडियो पर। तरंग डिवोशनल ऐप डाउनलोड करिए गूगल प्ले स्टोर से।